So in the Pokemon sphere, people have been discussing, is Black Bolt, White Flare short printed? And this has controversy on either side that people fall on it, because a lot of the time people in the comment section on YouTube and YouTubers themselves want controversy to drive views. So, they'll go with this term short printed. They'll discuss the term. Now, a lot of them will point out, just like I'm doing, short printed is probably going to be in the title of this video. And I don't agree that it's short printed, but people are going to be looking for short printing Pokemon, Black Bolt, White Flare. That's what they're going to be looking for, because that's what people are discussing right now. And, people want to be part of the discussion. They want the views. They maybe want clout. They maybe want sales. They maybe want whatever. But some of them will ignore things because it helps their whatever it is that they're going to say in their video. And some will not be aware of other things. And again, I may fall in both camps, neither camp. I don't know. I actually don't know enough about Pokemon to say for certain. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's, could explain the low views on my channel, that I don't say things definitively unless I really know, or unless I'm really certain, and I'm not willing to just say something for the sake of saying something. But what people have been discussing is this idea of the short printing, what short printing means. So I assume what we mean by short printing is that there's a certain number. Let's say the number is 1,000. 1,000 skids. I don't know. 1,000 boxes. I don't know. Let's say it's 1,000. And it's always 1,000. And then a company decides, today it's 800. So that would be short printing. But there could be other people who just think short printing means it's scarce. And if they see something being scarce, they assume it's short printed. Because maybe they don't fully understand supply and demand, and they think that scarcity always means supply as opposed to mostly meaning demand. Because in general, scarcity is often, I would say, more than 50% caused by demand, right? Because generally speaking, companies only want to print as much as they think they can, or create, manufacture, whatever, however much doohickeys they think they can sell, right? So they're not going to print 2,000 things when they normally make 1,000 things just because, right? They will if they can see increased demand and it's long-term and sustainable, right? That's the best way of going about it. Some people just do it because it's short-term and they can make some money, sure. But for the most part, they're trying to make as many things as they can to sell those things and not be stuck with those things. Whereas from a consumer side, they see not enough things, they think not enough things were made, as opposed to more and more people want that thing. So I guess to some, or maybe even to most, that is short printing, even though it's not technically. So I can understand why people are using this term, and the people that maybe are, Pokemon sellers, they have businesses or have been in the Pokemon space for a long time, they don't want the term short printed used because it means a specific thing. But for the most part, I think that people don't care enough about these words because they have other interests that are more important to them and more priorities than to, I guess, be cognizant of everything that goes on in a CCG space. So they're more than happy to use the term short printed as a shorthand to explain their problem. So I'm just saying that I agree with using short printed, I guess, properly, but I understand why it's not. So it's not that big of a deal if people are going to use short printed, which is why I want the definition that I used to go forward in this video, just to, in case there's someone in the comments that says, no, it is short printed, you don't know what you're talking about. I want you to know that I mean that they're making less of it, and that, there's no increase in demand. It's just, there's just less of it. That's what short printing means to me in this video. So I doubt that that's happening. In fact, I think that the opposite is happening, that they printed a little bit more than they would for a mini set. So like, it's sort of an in-between set, right? It goes, standard set that comes out that has booster boxes and all these other peripherals and all the other SKUs. And then the mini sets in between usually just have ETBs and, posters or like little things that aren't booster boxes. And so not having booster boxes limits how much stuff there is in the first place. And because they're mini sets, I guess Pokemon decides they don't print as many of those booster packs as they would in a main set. So it's, if you compare it to a main set, then it can appear to be short printed, but you shouldn't compare it to a main set. You got to compare it to the other types of sets that it is. And I think there's probably a little bit more of this than they printed of Prismatic, which was also an in-between set. It's not a main set, although it was probably terribly exciting for people, and people probably consider it a main set, but I don't think it is, because it didn't have booster boxes. So I think there's probably a tiny bit more, or possibly a lot more, of Black Bolt White Flare, but the demand is so high that won't seem to be the case unless you're buying lots of booster boxes, meaning that you're a business that buys booster boxes from distribution, or you're a Whatnot streamer that buys a lot of boxes from a retailer that bought it from distribution, or you're a streamer that has access to distribution somehow. So those people who have been in this for 6 months or longer will be able to see, based on how much they've been buying and what their allocations have been previously and what their relationship is with their distributor or the retailer, will be able to see whether there's an increase in product that they have access to, even though it sells it faster than a product they had less access to. So from their perspective and the way that they use short printed, it's not short printed, right? But from the perspective, as I said, of the general enthusiast of Pokemon, I guess that's what they're going to call it. But really, they should just say that there's less White Flare than there is Journey Together, because Journey Together is the main set. But there's so much hype around White Flare and all of Pokemon since December that you're not going to get any. And that's where we're at with Pokemon, is you're not going to get any. So I guess we all just wait until the end of the year and see what happens. Consign yourself to, I guess, a new hobby until you can get your hands on some Pokemon. Or, I guess, pay through the nose for it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Have a good day.